Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's Facebook Live. My name is Cassandra, and I am from the business development team here at Inspiring Vacations. Well, this week we do have quite the treat for you indeed. And I say that because I am truly excited to relive my trip to Botswana in Zimbabwe. I actually was lucky enough to travel there with Inspiring Vacations back in October last year. And it does feel like a bit of a lifetime ago now. But what I love is that I can share all of my pictures with you, some of the most incredible experiences of my life, and to help you to really decide if Botswana and Zimbabwe is on your bucket list and when you would like to travel, certainly. You know, over my years, I've been so incredibly lucky to have been to Africa 3 times. I have had the chance to journey to Kenya and Tanzania, Botswana and Zimbabwe, and of course to South Africa. And all of those experiences were so incredibly vastly different. I never thought they would be. It certainly did take me by surprise, but they were so glorious in their own rights. And that's why today we're going to speak specifically about Botswana and Zimbabwe and not about Africa as an entire continent, because it is just so different. So what I'm going to do now is I am hopefully going to be able to do this and be technically savvy and go ahead and share with you my presentation. Give me just one moment. And I hope you can see that now. As always, don't forget, I would love to hear from you. So if you do have any questions about absolutely anything regarding this presentation, please pop it in the comments box. I will absolutely be coming back to you at the end of the presentation to really answer all of your questions. Now, you may also have noticed when you were looking at this event that we are going to include some trivia for you this time. I'm really excited about that. So listen in as I give you some fun facts along the way. And at the end, you can then click on the link that we will post in the comments and have a little bit of fun. See what you know about Botswana and Zimbabwe at the end of this presentation. And just a little secret, there will just be 5 questions. So I wonder if you can get 5 out of 5. Let's get started into Botswana and Zimbabwe. You know, it was really awesome because very first day, day one, we flew into Victoria Falls and went straight to our hotel, of course, to freshen up. But that afternoon, we had this extraordinary opportunity to take an optional excursion on a helicopter over the, obviously, Victoria Falls, which is affectionately known as the smoke that thunders. Now, you might want to write that down, just a little hint. That's one of our fun facts here today. I'm not going to keep doing that through the presentation, but there's your first one. Victoria Falls was absolutely mind-blowing, and I am truly delighted that I took the chance to see Victoria Falls by air and, of course, the next day by land as we walk the pathway around Victoria Falls. It is an extraordinary sight to behold, and, you know, we were actually there in October, as I mentioned, and they hadn't got to the rain season yet. In fact, it was coming right to the very end of the dry season. They were anticipating rain October, November through Angola, which of course feeds the Zambezi River, and that of course is what feeds Victoria Falls. So depending on the time of year that you go, depends on how incredibly magnificent Victoria Falls is. But most certainly, even when we went, when the water was quite low, it was truly awe-inspiring. You know, they talk about the mist of the falls over in Toronto, the Niagara Falls, but the mist of the Victoria Falls was incredible. By the time we were done doing our walk, we were certainly cooled down, let's say that. And, you know, there's a fantastic little pool that they call Devil's Pool on the Zambia side of the Zambezi River, where people have been known to go and swim there. I'm not going to do that. That looked a little bit dangerous to me, but great stories anyway. Before we move on to the next step, I would love to show you a little video of Victoria Falls. And this was just actually Wasn't that incredible? That was actually just standing from one end of the Victoria Falls, looking all the way down. That wasn't even the wettest we got. So that was incredible. Look, this journey zigzags through Zimbabwe. Of course, starting in Victoria Falls is in Zimbabwe, but it actually zigzags through the countries of Botswana and Zimbabwe, and really takes in the very best of the national parks in these countries. Our next stop into Botswana was actually to go through to Chobe National Park, and this is us setting off early in the morning. You'll notice there that we have this great safari vehicle, and in fact, we had two of those. On our tour, there was only 12 guests, which was an absolutely beautiful number. These safari trucks that you use for game safari into the national parks were exceptional because we had 6 people per vehicle and everybody had a window. You truly didn't miss any moment, any opportunity to see the wildlife, be that the birds or the big five, whatever it is that floats your boat. So we did set off quite early in the morning. It was a little cool, so do take a jacket and a scarf just to rug up no matter what time of year you're going. But gosh, it was incredibly worth getting up that little bit earlier. The sunrise, as you can see in the second picture there in Chobe National Park, was just incredible. And these images, as I just did not think it was going to happen on day 2, let alone within the first hour of arriving at Chobe National Park. This gorgeous herd of lions was right by the road, one very young male, numerous lionesses, and of course plenty of cubs. We did come at a good time of the year because the cubs were old enough to be out and about, and it was just incredible. And you'll notice that it is quite sandy. I didn't expect the landscape to look the way that it did. But while we were in Chobe National Park, we were just absolutely treated to not just seeing the lions, but we also saw, and I'm going to show you a quick little video now of one of my favorite little animals. I'm sure you can guess what it is. That's right, the leopard. Oh my goodness, that guy absolutely took our breath away, and he was walking all along the side of the road, just minding his own business. The colors, the way he moved was just absolutely spectacular. And we saw him quite a few times throughout that morning, and that was just one of the videos that I got of him. And I'm so grateful. That was incredible. While we were in Chobe National Park, and of course, Chobe National Park was the very first national park for Botswana. It is their 3rd largest national park, and they, in Chobe National Park, depending on migration and the herd movement, you will see a plethora of elephants while you're there. We also saw some alligators, some incredible bird life. We had one gentleman on our tour that was really extraordinarily interested in bird life, and I have to say that wasn't something that was high on my priority list necessarily, but I really got to appreciate the beauty of the Rolo bird, the beauty of the hornbill, and you'll know Zazu from The Lion King, and it looks exactly like that, and they were everywhere. So it was a beautiful learning for me. That afternoon, so after the early morning game safari, we came back to our stunning hotel on the river, and we had some downtime, which is a really beautiful thing about doing African safaris, and specifically with this itinerary. There was many days, I would say every second day, if not a few more, you did have some downtime in the middle of the day to rest, recuperate, or perhaps to even go out to the town, the local town, and have a look around, have some conversations with locals, perhaps do some shopping. So there's plenty of time to yourself as well. But that afternoon, we hopped on this fun boat. It was a flat bottom boat, of course. It was large. There was about 16 people on that particular one, and we got to go around the river here, and we saw hippos, which was funnily enough, it was the top on my list because I just think they're so cute. I know I might be weird, but I think they're so cute. So we saw plenty of hippos, loads of crocodiles, a plethora of elephants, a cheeky group of monkeys. And when I say a group, I would say no less than 30 monkeys, all on the banks of the river. But it was a great way to see the animals and to take a safari. So we'd been on land in the morning and then on water in the afternoon. It's just awesome. Moving on, we hopped back on our vehicle and travelled back into Zimbabwe to Hwange National Park. Hwange National Park looks entirely different to Chobe, and that is the beauty of being able to travel throughout these countries. You really do appreciate the different landscapes throughout all of the national parks, and even driving along the road and watching the change of landscape is really quite exceptional as well. Hwange National Park is in Zimbabwe. They were doing a game count when we were there, so that was very, very interesting to observe. While we were there, we went out on safari, of course, numerous times. We really got, you can see in the centre picture there, we really do get very well looked after. It was certainly tea and coffee in the morning, a magnificent packed lunch. I don't know how they do it. And then some gin and tonic in the afternoon. No one complained. It was quite lovely. This was one of our guides. So not only do we look for obviously the animals while we're there, but there is an educational perspective to this, which I appreciated. There's a picture there of him holding elephant dung, which was different. It was quite a funny joke, actually. And then the elephant skull there as well. And so he spoke about, the life cycle of elephants, because Hwange National Park, again, has a huge plethora or herd of elephants that continually migrate throughout the national park. This was lovely. This is something that's really quite unique to our itineraries for Botswana and Zimbabwe. Not many itineraries have the opportunity to go on a houseboat on Lake Kariba in Zimbabwe. It was lovely to get off the land and to spend a couple of days on this boat. It was exceptionally comfortable. It had a beautiful plunge pool at the front of the ship. The food, the chef who is there on the back of the boat there welcoming us, the food was exceptional. So we really enjoyed the downtime there. While we were on the boat, there were choices of, going out fishing one day or having a look for more game. I went fishing with two other people. I didn't catch anything. They all caught everything. Clearly, that's something I need to work on. But it was lovely. It was beautiful, just being on the water, looking at the hippos as we were fishing. It was quite different. It was quite fun, actually. Hippos were aplenty throughout. And we also did a sunset cruise on a smaller boat in the afternoon, and we ate the fish that we caught that day. So the chef obviously filleted those fish into bite-sized pieces, crumbed them, cooked them, and we took them out on the boat. It was magnificent. But I really, at this point, want to show you this really cute little video that I've got of the hippos. So let's go to that. Can you see them there?
Oh my gosh!
Yes, sorry, that was me in the background squealing because as I said, I have a bit of a fascination with the hippos. So that was really exciting. There was a great, I think you'd call it a pod of hippos. I'm not really sure, actually. Just there in that little area, there would have been about 8 or 9 in total that just kept on popping up and going away. It was gorgeous. That night we were treated to a barbecue cooked by our chef on the land, and they brought over all the tables and chairs and a bar and all the crockery and cutlery, and it was a really magnificent evening. That's actually a picture of my foot against a hippo print, and I'm not even kidding you. How incredible is that? Speaking of exceptional experiences, in the Matobo Hils in Zimbabwe, we stayed in an exceptional property, and funnily enough, the Matobo Hills, the landscape again is so incredibly different. It's massive boulders and rock formations throughout the entire national park, to the point where it's just awe-inspiring. It's so magnificent. And you can see here that we had another really amazing barbecue meal when we were at this property. And look, I had to put a picture in there of the African sunsets. African sunsets are like nowhere else in the world. Incredibly beautiful. The next day, we had what was a heart-pounding but so fulfilling day, seeing the white rhinos. And of course, there's white and black rhinos in the regions of Botswana and Zimbabwe. These are the white rhinos. And that we have a couple of guides with us. It was really important that we didn't have our location services on our phones, if we had our phones with us, to take photographs while we were in this national park, because they don't want to obviously let any poachers know the location of any of these rhinos. But it was an amazing experience. This was 3 rhinos. It was a mother, a juvenile male, and a baby girl. And there is a picture of me there, as you can see, on the right-hand side, exceptionally close. My heart was certainly racing, but it was magnificent. Next stop, and it keeps coming. This was just an incredible trip. Next stop was on the edge of the Kalahari to the Pans. Now, this region has not had any good rainfall for a few years now. So the likelihood of seeing a lot of flamingos that it was famous for has diminished slightly. There's certainly plenty of ostriches roaming the plains. You do get a few flamingos, but once they get that rainfall again, they certainly will be back. But one of the cutest, fuzziest, beautiful little critters that you will find is a meerkat. And I've got a little video to show you of these cute little guys.
I like having little things.
Look at that. This one is scorpion.
Aren't they just the funniest little things? And I actually took a lot of video of them because they're really busy little guys, scratching for scorpions and then running to the next hole and scratching for scorpions there. And it's quite amazing. We were there with our group of 12. We actually had breakfast out there with the meerkats because you do have to get up early because they do come out at first sunrise. It's the best time to see them. But what was really cute about the meerkats was if you actually did sit down, there is every chance you'd have a couple scurry over the top of you. I don't know if it's that they can't see you or recognize you, or they just simply don't care, but it was very cute and certainly a highlight for a lot of people. On that same day, we went into a couple of villages, including Gweta, where we got to see the local hospital. We got to donate some. We all spoke prior to this as a group, and we donated some, hand sanitizers and tissues and Band-Aids and some little medical kits to some of the local, we actually went to the local school so they could give it out to the local families. I thoroughly enjoyed that, and I love seeing the locals, and I love seeing the way people live. And the interesting thing that I thought about Botswana and Zimbabwe when I looked at the way people lived is there was quite a difference quite a great difference between the way they lived, obviously, in the villages versus perhaps the bigger towns like Bulawayo and Maun. But in the villages, there's a huge portion that live quite a traditional way of life. We had the absolute honour of being hosted in one of their compounds, one of the family's compounds that they do live in there. They were so gracious. And obviously they put together this meal that you can see here. There was sorghum, there was maize, there was beef, there was beans, and there was these little critters down the bottom of the page that are worms. I didn't indulge in those, but everything else was amazing. The Okavango Delta in Botswana was absolutely one of the reasons why I was so excited to take this trip. The waterways of the Delta are, I want to say, magical, because it really felt that way. It was very much meandering. These are on the Makoros, the local boats, of course, they're a dugout. They're made slightly different these days. It used to be out of wood, but they're made very different these days. But the concept remains the same. We have a local guide on the back balancing, I don't know how, and feeling their way through the reeds as they take you on the Makoro. But you do weave your way through these waterways. It's just like nothing you've ever experienced. And you pop out the other side and are faced with exceptional views of herds of elephants on the edge of the water, bathing themselves, babies in the water. It's just, magical is definitely the word. The Okavango Delta has been a highlight for me out of all of the destinations that I've been to on this continent. This was absolutely just so special and really different. And we kept going to one of the very last national parks there in Botswana for us to visit, Moremi. We crossed over, when we were travelling through Hwange National Park in Zimbabwe, we crossed over with another group that had just come in the other direction. And they said to us when we were at Hwange that Moremi was the highlight of their trip so far. And we said to them, well, Chobe was the highlight of our trip so far. And in any case, Moremi did not disappoint. It's tricky to get to Moremi National Park. The roads are not fantastic and it is a little bit long, but it was so worth it. I am so glad that we were able to get there. I saw a couple of incredible things. The first is that little baby elephant. Can you see him there hiding under the legs? While we were there, we were actually just driving, and this herd was walking towards the road, and that's when we stopped. You can see in front of the baby, that is its grandmother, we believe. You can see a little bit of water substance coming out around her face there. That's a stress response, I do believe. That's what we were told from an elephant, and she was protecting that baby. That baby sat underneath her legs. We moved on quickly because we didn't want to stress her, but it was a really beautiful moment. We saw a bucket load of zebra, bucket load of zebra. Are they white and black or black and white? That's the question. But they are gorgeous to see. And ironically, they blend in camouflage so well in the African landscape. And the last picture there, I laughed for days, and at the expense of these poor beautiful giraffes. But this was a very rare sight to see. We pulled up to a waterhole in Moremi, and there was about 5 giraffes drinking. And how do giraffes drink? Well, they're quite tall, aren't they? They're quite long. They don't, and I didn't know this, they don't bend their legs like a knee. They actually just spread their legs out very awkwardly. They look very awkward. And in fact, it looked like they were going to fall a couple of times, bless them, to get a drink at the waterhole. So that was super, super cute. And just to finish off on our little journey through Botswana and Zimbabwe, it is always a big thank you to all of the local guides, including our guide Joe, who's in the middle picture there, as well as all of the specialty guides throughout. their knowledge, their passion, but most importantly, their welcoming and caring nature was so well received and really makes for the most incredible holiday. They were all incredibly beautiful, happy people, and I appreciated that. That is the end of my pictures. I really hope that you enjoyed that journey through Botswana and Zimbabwe. Of course, let me just have a look at the questions here and see if we have got any that I need to answer for you today. Just one moment. Oh, hello, Odette. I'm with you with the hippos. They are gorgeous. They're so gorgeous. It's all about their little ears. Oh, and Deborah was meant to be there this year, but of course, hopefully we can make that happen for you very soon. I hope you enjoyed that, Deborah. Give you a bit of a taste as to what you're going to see anyway. You won't be disappointed. Emily, it is absolutely amazing. Good to see you again, Emily. Lovely to see you online. So how much did you learn about Botswana and Zimbabwe here today? We have got a fun little trivia for you. It's just online. It's 5 questions. We've popped the link into the comments there. Let's see who can get 5 out of 5. Let's see who was listening. The questions aren't hard. I really hope you enjoyed that. I hope we get to see you in Botswana and in Zimbabwe very, very soon. But nonetheless, I'm sure that you're planning your next holiday there. If you want to read up more about these destinations, perhaps what the top national parks are, where you might go. Perhaps you're deciding between Kenya and Tanzania, Botswana, Zimbabwe, South Africa, I'm not sure. Please hop onto our website. We have got plenty of articles to answer all of your questions. And to be honest with you, if you've got a fascination with Africa, as I do, you'll probably go down a bit of a rabbit hole because those articles are just such a joy to read and so informative. Odette, my tour, just to answer your question before you go, I was actually on the ground there for 17 days, but the rest of the group was flown down to South Africa and they got to spend another 3 nights, I think it was, in Kruger National Park. So again, something very, very different. It was a total of 21 days, including flying time to and from Australia. Thank you, Albert. Amanda, I will get our Amanda to repost that trivia link for you so that you can go ahead and have a go at that. Thank you, Albert, for your kind comments. You've just convinced me. Well, you won't have any regrets. Let me promise you that. We're hoping the borders all open soon, but have fun exploring on our website. Don't forget, if you do want to lock in your holiday for 2021, we can help you. We do have a 28-day change of mind guarantee. We're excited about traveling. We hope you are too, and no doubt we'll be out there in the world again very soon. Thank you all and have a tremendous afternoon. Bye for now.